Facebook yesterday announced that they've changed their name to Meta to reflect their metaverse vision. So this was announced at their annual Connect conference. They said they'll have a heightened focus on virtual reality, the metaverse, and NFTs. So I think this isn't a surprise to any of us. We spoke about the 10,000 jobs that Facebook is hiring for in Europe to create this metaverse world. Their name has officially changed, and they have the stock ticker MVRS, which I'm kind of sad about. I'm sad Facebook got the metaverse ticker, but that's just my opinion. Zach, I see you opening your eyes wide when I say that they have the metaverse ticker. What's your take on the story?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't use Facebook that much, so maybe I shouldn't talk about it that much, but that doesn't stop people on Twitter from talking about Facebook at all hours of the day and night. So I'll take a hack at it. I mean, clearly I think metaverse ambitions have been there for a bit. It's really funny to see them, double down on that by changing the whole thing to Meta, right? You can't spell metaverse without Meta. So they want to cement their position in that space as this becomes something that people start to reconsider. Hey, wait a minute, maybe I am going to engage in virtual worlds in the near term future. And Facebook wants to serve that impulse in a way that's friendly to its millions and billions of users. I don't know. I don't know. It seems a little bit like a rebrand that could backfire miserably or could propel this company into its next 17 years of success and notoriety. But again, I'll take the journalistic cop out. Only time will tell. Naomi, up to you, and then I want to hear David's take too.
Yeah. So Sean Presser had a good tweet that kind of sums up my take here. He says, how many times has Zuckerberg been wrong about tech trends? I can't think of a single time. He's gotten every major investment correct. This metaverse idea will either be the first major Facebook misstep or it's a future we should embrace sooner than later. Early adopters win. I mean, they hit the nail on the head. Facebook really has done incredibly well. I think a lot of people discount Zuckerberg. They see him as this kind of pasty, nerdy coder guy who's not quite human, and they make fun of him and he's hard to relate to. And so they really discount him. But over and over again, I mean, he's been brilliant and he's built one of the most successful companies in the world. And even when he's made big investment decisions, like when he purchased Instagram for an obscene amount of money, everyone hated on him for it. Everyone was like, this is a really dumb step. This is stupid. This is exorbitantly priced. This is a dumb move. It ended up being such a brilliant move for Facebook. And so I'm looking at the metaverse thing thinking, oh, okay, this thing is coming. Like we've been hearing about it in the crypto space for years. We've been seeing people, experiment in decentralized metaverses and different iterations for years and years, right? But it hasn't, hasn't gotten traction. It hasn't gotten a lot of steam. It's just, again, a bunch of geeky people kind of playing around in this cool, fun thing that has now been enabled. And now Zuckerberg's coming along and rebranding his entire head company to Meta. So that made me kind of do a double take and be like, oh, this thing is coming sooner than I realize, and it's coming hard. So it's interesting just to keep an eye on this. But as Sean said, this will either be the first big major, Facebook misstep, or this thing is going to be the next big thing. But I'm going to throw it to you, David.
So I wore a sweatshirt today, both to celebrate Halloween and to encapsulate my emotional response to this Facebook announcement.
Were we all supposed to dress up for our stories today?
Shout out to Office Hours and Skinner for capturing my mood today. I think that, Naomi, the tweet is interesting, maybe, but it leaves out two major missteps. And one of them is Facebook's bid to get into crypto with Novi, Libra, whatever, which basically was flubbed on launch so terribly that they had to rename it already. And the second misstep actually was Oculus Rift, the purchase of which formed the basis of this whole idea. They bought Oculus in 2014. They've had real problems getting people to get interested in doing VR, which is what this is about. It's online persistent VR with a social network attached. And there are really strong indications that people just aren't interested in interacting with computers through a pair of goggles on their faces. Zuckerberg even talked during the presentation about how they're going to have to spend a lot of money to make the devices affordable enough to be appealing to people, because people don't want them even now at about $200 a pop. which obviously is a lot, but it's not insane. And you don't even have early adopters interested in that. And meanwhile, this is all happening in the context of a major investigation into Facebook for some pretty serious misconduct and antisocial behavior. So you have to also keep in mind that this rebrand is definitely intended as a distraction from the broader context. And also, while we're at it, to pile on, Facebook is losing users in the US and Europe at a rapid pace, especially young users. The business itself is in trouble. So this stock pop, I think they got like 5% off of this rebrand, which is not that good so far, by the way. And it all is strategic. And by the way, the metaverse that they're talking about is not the metaverse that we think about as people in crypto. Yes, there's going to be NFTs, but the interoperability, there's not going to be those things. They haven't really laid out the specifics yet, but they are specifically talking about launching a walled garden app store that they can collect fees from the sales of, which means that you are not going to be able to necessarily load in your NFTs from Ethereum free. Like, it's not going to be an open system, I don't think. That's the science so far. Jen, I saw you wanted to chime in if we have time.
Naomi, I'm going to let Naomi go first, and then if we have time, I'll jump in.
Yeah, a few points. So the Libra experiment was so unbelievably successful that the government was so threatened by it, they immediately shut it down. I don't think that's a misstep from Facebook, so I'll push back against that one. I think that was absolutely the play they should have made. They managed to get a consortium of some incredibly powerful and giant companies on board, but it was the government that was just like, this can never happen. But yeah, they jumped out because the government, clamped down on it, because the government said, no, there's no way we can have this giant company being involved in cryptocurrency. So, I mean, that is a regulatory play that I wouldn't say that that's a misstep from Facebook at all. But I would also say that this whole whistleblower, I'm never going to use the term whistleblower to refer to this ridiculous nonsense that's coming out from Facebook. It's like being in media and knowing that the entire industry is based on trying to get people riled up and angry. The fact that it's news that Facebook is trying to make money by keeping people engaged on their platform, I think that that's the biggest distraction from the broader context, which is that, Facebook is trying to compete with the US dollar currently, and the government is terrified and doing anything it can to just shut down any attempts that Facebook does to move in that direction. But I will throw to you, Jen, for your thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with you, Naomi. And I also think this narrative that everyone is using about, Facebook changing its name to Meta because they really just need to rebrand to change perception because of this whistleblower just doesn't align with what's being built. I mean, I don't think they decided to build this platform overnight, and okay, they're changing the name. The whistleblower came out. I just think it's much bigger. And so I just think that narrative is kind of, I don't know. I don't feel like the people who are speaking that really are taking the time to understand that. But David, I get that you understand it. I just don't agree.